Hello and welcome. It is 2:30. It is the 27th day of April, 2021. I am the grumpy guide to all things gaming, the OG Jam. I'm feeling a little out of sorts today. I went to the dentist to get fit for a night guard because apparently I grinded my teeth and my chakras are still out of line. I still feel a little wiggly from that experience. It's a very, very unusual experience to get fit for a night guard. Yeah, you don't care. All right, so let's talk about Session Zero, because I brought it up a lot recently, and I brought it up yesterday with the whole talk about the DM is always correct. And it's always nice to revisit the idea of Session Zero. But what is Session Zero? I know I've tried to explain it before, but let's explain it again. With the help of people who are smarter than myself, which isn't saying much. We're going to consult the interweb. What is Session Zero? Session Zero is when the DM and the players establish the expectations, options, and tone of the game, setting down the formal guidelines, the physics of the engine that's going to run the game. What are the expectations of everybody? Make sure everybody on the table understands the rules, what we're changing, planning the schedule, the frame rule, and the foundation. So basically, in a nutshell, Session Zero is when we build the engine for the game. The first thing about Session Zero is building the team, getting everybody on the same page, getting everybody, used to the setting, used to the idea. Is there somebody who's never played this system before and needs to learn the basics? What are they most excited about? Combat, exploration, puzzles. What is the thing that they're going to, each want to bring to the table? And then the second thing you want to set up is the schedule. What days is the game going to happen? How many times do you want a game during a month? How many hours do you want to devote to the game? How much off time do you want to devote? Do you want, there to be like a Facebook page where everybody can post in between game questions and answers, and suggestions and pictures and art or whatever? Or do you not want to have anything to do with the game when you're not playing? Stuff like that. So scheduling, what time do you want to show up? What time do you want to leave? Do you want to set aside to time before each game to get the visiting out and get the lulls out and maybe eat dinner and then have the game? Do you want to have breaks? That thing. The other thing you should probably establish during Session Zero is the expectations of the game and of the table and of the location. Is food allowed? Alcohol? Smartphones? How much time, if at all, should be a player be allowed to look what stuff up in the books? What books can the players have access to? What is the general tone of the game? What is the general tone of the table? What is the general tone of where you're at? I mean, if you're in a public space, maybe a bunch of cussing and adult type stuff might not be okay, How much, if any, narrative control are you going to give the players? Are you going to let them describe what their characters do? Are you going to be like Mercer and tell them what their characters do? Are there situations that can be retconned? Is it once it's set in stone, it's set in stone? Is player versus player okay? Is robbing from the party okay? Is there anything that RPG peeves that, people have or don't want to have? Like, I'm uncomfortable with spiders, so please don't have any encounters with spiders in it. That kind of shit. What is the rating of your game? What are the boundaries? Obviously, we're probably not going to have rape and baby eating in the game, but there might be other boundaries people might not want to cross, and that needs to be discussed. And what is the punishment, if any, if people violate these rules, these expectations, this established, agreed upon, detente of the table? What is the framework of the campaign? Well, what is the level of magic? What is the level of technology? How much information, if any, does the player characters know about the world ahead of time? Are you going to do like a whole world guide on, the Facebook or whatever? Where are the environments? What are the threats and the main story themes? Does everybody want a linear structure or a sandbox structure? What level do you want to start off? Do you want to make sure everybody's leveling at the same time? Didn't everybody has like a connection? Or are you going to do individual experience points? So maybe Susan's got, a level up on everybody else because she's just been doing more stuff, whatever. Everything that everybody needs to know about the setting ahead of times. So, and again, maybe there's things they don't understand. Maybe there's rules that you've changed. And that brings us to the final thing that you might want to discuss at session 0, house rules. What have you changed about the system in any way, say, before? Like, let's say you have different rules for criticals, or maybe different rules for fumbles, or maybe you have a rule where why is it that only combat guys can do extra stuff on a critical? Why can't a wizard do extra stuff if they roll a critical? So I've got different, magic rules because, whatever. So that's it. And then you get everybody all hyped up and dive in and stuff. And then the final question, now that we've gotten this all written, should we start playing or should we maybe wait a little bit to develop the characters a little bit more, work on the backstories, talk to each other about what we want to do together before we start? Because now we've devoted this hour or whatever to setting up all these parts of the physics of the game, the team building exercise, the scheduling, the expectations, the framework of the campaign, what house rules we're going to agree upon. Should we start now? No, you should probably wait a little bit. Maybe take a break, maybe play a board game, maybe just sit there for another hour, working on character backstories and how this guy knows that guy and working everything together. So when the game actually starts, we all know where we are in the game. And then maybe a few games down the road, you revisit that. Is there a house rule I want to change? Is there something that happened that I maybe want to retcon? Because even though the DM is always correct, it doesn't mean the DM is always right. And the DM and the players are going to make mistakes. And you're going to say something in the heat of the excitement of the game. And then like an hour later, you're going to be like, I wish I didn't do that. So there's things that you can discuss. Maybe a player leaves. Maybe a schedule changes and you need to reset. Maybe there needs to be a rule that if you can't have 3 players and the game's called for a week, which is a stupid rule, but I've been in games that done that. Whatever. 3-5 sessions in, things change. Support me, Soda. So you should revisit that session 0, take a couple minutes, and there should be time before or after the game to address issues that maybe came up during the game. Or there shouldn't. That's another thing that needs to be addressed. Is this the kind of game where you're constantly open to input, where you're constantly willing to let people text you at any time, day or night, with questions about the game? Or is this the kind of game where you're like, no, I'm going to give you guys 20 minutes at the end of every game to go over things. We'll have a Facebook page where we can post shit, but don't ever text me because this is, once I'm at work, this is only for work and emergencies and my kids and whatever. Another thing. Scheduling is an important thing. Agreeing we're all going to show up at the exact same time and not bailing at the last second, but also taking into account real life. So there we go. Session 0 explained by somebody far smarter than myself. Thank you, Internet, for being smarter than me. Okay, maybe not. Anyways, there's some weird noises going on outside, so I'm probably going to end this now. If you appreciate this content, let me know. What is your session 0? What do you do to make sure the engine of your particular game is running? And how do you revisit that if something happens that makes the engine falter? Let me know down below. I'll talk to you later. Till then, you know what to do. Back up. Keep backing up. Keep it backing up and get off my lawn.